Over the last few years, there's been growing recognition that most grad students and postdocs, despite writing on their Giannini applications they're going to go into academics, 90% or more don't go into academics. And you've already said one of the many, many reasons why that might be. And it's not just that there's not space in academics, but it's very attractive, some of these other career pathways, biotech, science, writing, teaching. I mean, there's probably 100 different careers. Friedman has written about this. So NIH, and there are changes, and if you read the postdoc journals, postdocs are writing about this and saying, we're not getting trained during our graduate studies and our postdoc time for these careers. We're just being trained to do the work in the lab, and then once we're over, then we have to go out and figure out how to get a job. So that's really hit home, and that's been very resonant. So NIH had a call for their Common Grant Fund, which is kind of their fund where they do high-impact RFAs to develop a consortium called the BEST Consortium, Broadening Experiences in Scientific Training. And now there are 17 institutions in that group, and I'm the PI at Davis, and UCI has a grant, and we intend to involve all the UCs. The grant proposes to look at models, hypotheses, where both graduate students and postdocs can simultaneously develop their disciplinary excellence and do the work of the PI and begin to think about what happens after their training. Their individual development plans, doing some internships, learning how to interview, some very practical things, communication skills, understanding what it might be to be a scientific writer for a journal or working in biotech, because that's really, as you all know, that's what happens to most people. So rather than having a bad mentoring experience, the hypothesis globally is that grad students and postdocs can have a very productive experience. So I think what you two are alluding to in the PNAS article had several sections on the plight of the trainee, and so both NSF and NIH, as well as others, have begun to respond to that, and the partnerships that are developing between academics and some of these other community partnerships are good. And then finally what I'll say is that this is not the secondary, not as good pathway. You know, this is not an alternative. This is part of a broad success story. And NIH just recently released changed language for T32 training grants, saying that it's okay for the PI to, Dr. Solnick has a T32, to say, my trainees after their training went to Genentech or a science writer. That's a success story. You don't have to be a tenured professor for a training grant to claim success. So there's and that's just NIH. There's probably, well, there's dozens of other initiatives that kind of recognize what you're talking about, that success is being redefined for graduate students and postdocs in ways that we've always done it, but you all have done it kind of surreptitiously, if you will, and feeling bad about it, whereas I think we should feel good about that, including teaching all the way from high school through college.